U.S. lawmakers are trying to address a baby formula shortage affecting families across the U.S.
Mothers across the country are looking to us for help.
The steps our governor is taking to try to help families locally.
We really want to iterate that we have a need for milk donation right now to help support families.
Be prepared to pay even more for gas. Experts say prices could soar over $6 a gallon.
Americans are pushing demand closer to refining limits in this country.
Plus, families in the Marshall Fire Zone are concerned about potential toxins in their yard.
We really are kind of left trying to figure out on our own what exactly we're dealing with.
Bennington's reset. Manson scores!
And the Avs get a huge win in overtime, staying undefeated in the playoffs. Happening now, you're looking live from the floor of the House of Representatives, where lawmakers are trying to fix the baby formula shortage by voting on several measures today. Thanks so much for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Jason Grenauer. So here's what lawmakers will be voting on. People under the Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, would be allowed to use vouchers on any formula brand. Lawmakers also want to give the FDA nearly $30 million to increase staff in charge of inspecting formula before it's sent to grocery stores. It would also help companies prepare for future shortages. Now, Colorado is also taking steps to help families. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta reports on the new partnership announced by the governor.
Some parents in our state, they might have started their mornings off by heading out to the grocery store looking for any formula that might be available for their babies. This is after weeks of it being scarce. Abbott, a company that actually produces baby formula, just reached a new deal with the FDA, but it could be upwards of 8 weeks until we see those shelves fully stocked again, and that's exactly why Colorado Governor Jared Polis is encouraging milk donations through a partnership with a nonprofit. So here's what exactly this partnership is. The state, along with Mother's Milk Bank, they're calling for donations of either breast milk or financial donations that could help families offset some of those costs. This is also an effort to highlight options that exist out there for parents who need to get milk to their babies.
Not every parent is able to breastfeed. Not every family has direct access to milk themselves. So, whether they're going to formula or to donor human milk, either way, they're just trying to find a way to feed their baby.
Now, the cost is something the partnership between the state and Mother's Milk Bank doesn't address. Typically, an ounce of donated milk that can cost parents between $3 and $5. If the average infant drinks 25 ounces a day, that can cost families more than $500 a week. So if you're interested in donating milk at all, there are some requirements. You also have to fill out a form. You can do all of that over at rmchildren.org. You can also always make one of those financial donations as well. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
Now, there are other things being done to help fix this formula shortage. The FDA wants to increase formula imports. Nestle is flying supplies to the U.S. from Europe. Abbott Labs is increasing production in Ohio, and it's getting ready to reopen its facility in Michigan after a months-long investigation connected to a recall. And of course, this is a story we've been following now for weeks. You can find more coverage right now up on thedenverchannel.com and on our Denver 7 Plus app. The U.S. Treasury and other groups are working on a multi-billion-dollar plan to address a worldwide food security crisis. Officials say the crisis has become more severe since the war in Ukraine started. They are also concerned about rising food costs and climate-damaged crops. The Treasury says money will be spent on supporting farmers, addressing the fertilizer supply crisis, and developing land for food production. The war in Ukraine is one reason why gas prices are surging across the U.S. California is the first state now to average above $6 a gallon. The average price across the U.S. is more than $4.50. Experts warn the U.S. average across the entire country could hit $6 or more by August. Now, another reason prices are on the rise, U.S. inventories are at their lowest seasonal level since 2019, and that could have a big impact on summer travel.
I'm afraid that, by and large, the high prices will probably stick around for a good majority of the summer. My concern is that hurricane season starts in a little over 2 weeks, and that could also cause some shutdowns in refining capacity at a time we can ill afford it.
Now, Colorado's gas prices aren't as high compared to other parts of the country. The average price right now in our state is $4.13, which is up just 2 cents from last week. Well, Aurora Public Schools They are moving forward with plans to now close 2 elementary schools. The board voted late last night to close both Sable and Paris elementary schools. Parents and teachers held a rally over the weekend in an effort to save those schools. This is part of the district's long-term plan to address a drop in enrollment. You could hear parents yelling at the board after that decision was made.
You are failing your community. You are failing your community.
All right. I know that this is a difficult decision. It was excuse me, it was a difficult decision, a difficult vote. We need to have quiet, please. This was not made easily by anyone, whether you're voting yes or no.
The board originally voted to keep the 2 schools open 2 months ago, but they could not come up with different criteria for deciding how to address the district's challenges. The superintendent said a pause to consider more data that would destabilize other schools in the district. Now the board will have to decide what to do with the 2 buildings. Those schools will close next May. Firefighters are working on containment lines for a fast-growing wildfire in south central Colorado. The Plumtaw fire sparked yesterday, less than 10 miles north of Pagosa Springs. You can see all that smoke there into the air. Now, that fire is about 600 acres in size. At least one neighborhood is under an evacuation notice. Well, cleanup is still in its early stages for the victims of the Marshall Fire. Some homeowners whose homes were damaged are now facing some new challenges. Denver 7's Christian Lopez introduces us to a woman who's concerned toxins from destroyed properties could be in her backyard.
So we have this property here, which is partially cleared right now. We have this property here that has not yet been cleared.
This is how close the Marshall Fire got to Christine Berg's home in Louisville. Her house is surrounded by 4 burned properties.
It was just shocking to see the loss of our neighbors and the devastation of the fire. The night of the fire, we were certain our house would not be standing as the fire was in our backyard.
Her home is still standing, but the road to recovery is just getting started. Christine is now left facing some unique challenges.
So all of the soil right to this property line will be cleared. Our concerns are that there's a spillover effect from the fire, that the ash footprint doesn't necessarily stop right at the property line, and that our soil potentially has those toxins as well. You know, having our neighbors and I have pets and children.
She has reached out to the county, but she was told she doesn't qualify for soil removal through FEMA since it's not a total loss.
Our hearts go out to all of our community members, our community members who face these losses, and we're so thankful that the city and county have stepped up to assist them and to assist us in all the ways that they have. That being said, there's a lot of gray area with safely returning to your home.
Berg has sent some soil samples to a private company. They're testing for 8 different metals. She should have those results in a couple of weeks, but if they do find toxins, she'll have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket to have that soil scraped. Berg is hoping they'll start offering some sort of help to those who are in her situation.
We and others in our situation who we've been in communication with are very worried about the spillover effect from the contaminants from these burned properties. There are people like us who abut 2, 3 burned down properties, and we're just learning as we go along and trying to do this as safely as we can.
There's still a lot of remediation work that has to be done both inside and outside of the home, but she's hopeful that her family can return by August. In Louisville, Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
Now, Christian reached out to Boulder County several times to see if they'd consider offering some kind of aid for people in this kind of a situation. She has not heard back.
Here's Manson. Bennington's reset. Manson scores! Josh Manson wins game 1.
And I was in that building last night, and boy, was that loud. The overtime winner from Josh Manson. The Avs took game 1 from the Blues. The Avs haven't lost in the playoffs yet. They now lead their second round series 1-0.
I was just kind of hold my ground, and but it was a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. You know, it feels good to get that with your team. You know, that's the best part about playoffs is it's a team effort, and you get to win with your team.
That is not my video after the game-winning goal. That was Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson's video of the crowd going wild after that Avs overtime goal. The Avs also posted this video of Wilson at the game holding a playoff noise sign to pump up the crowd. That drew quite the cheer from the 18,000 or so in attendance. Game 2 is at Ball Arena tomorrow night. Puck drop at 7:30. Speaking of the Broncos, our Broncos insider Troy Renck says the Broncos are trying to set up a joint training camp practice with the Dallas Cowboys. The USA Today reports the practice would happen on Thursday, August 11th. The Broncos host the Cowboys for a preseason game on Saturday, the 13th. Former Bronco Von Miller is selling his home in the Metro. It's listed for $4.1 million. It's in a gated community in Foxfield. The house has 9 bedrooms and 4 full bathrooms. There's also a gaming room, movie theater, cigar lounge, and 8-car garage. Is it big enough, though? Is it? Well, companies are growing digital worlds known as the metaverse. And coming up, there's concerns it will cause cyber criminals to go to greater lengths to steal your information. Plus, getting Rocky Mountain National Park to and from there, well, it just got easier, and you don't need a car.